What's up YouTube? My name's Nick. Welcome to Mystery of Money. On this channel we talk about all sorts of financial topics and the topics that surround money. If you get value, do me a favor, hit that like button, let YouTube know that you enjoyed this video and they should share it to other people. This is a PPP update. With that being said, I'm going to speculate on where I think the next additional EIDL funding will come from. The reason I say that is, yesterday, Secretary Mnuchin was interviewed to talk about the Main Street Lending Program. If you're unfamiliar, the Main Street Lending Program came out shortly after the PPP. It was for larger companies that didn't qualify under the small business standard size that the PPP was aiming for. So the original program had $600 billion that were earmarked specifically for these Main Street loans. And there was also an additional $75 billion in equity that was going to be put in from the Treasury. So the way it works is, take your typical bank down in the corner, would lend one of these larger companies $1 million plus loan. Once that loan is fully dispersed, the Federal Reserve would come in and purchase that loan from the bank and then basically put it on its books, so it wouldn't be maintained by the bank. So the Federal Reserve would own that loan. And again, these are for businesses that don't have access, that weren't classified as small businesses under the PPP program, but weren't large enough to access capital markets to invest. And as of now, only $2 billion has been lent out. And the reason is, the companies that need the money are below that threshold or above that threshold. And honestly, there's not a whole lot of companies out there willing to take those large loans on during this time. Jerome Powell was directly asked by Congress, would it make sense to open the Main Street Lending Program to smaller businesses because they haven't used a lot of the money already? And his response was the payroll protection program would be a better fit for the businesses. He doesn't see a demand for loans under $1 million. And also, the central bank is not issuing loans. They're basically buying 95% of those loans back from the bank, and then that's assuming the risk. If that loan goes bad, the bank is only out 5%, Treasury's out 95%. Now, the Republicans have made another proposal back in July to earmark $180 billion for additional PPP funding for businesses. Now, the PPP program had extra money left at the end of the first round. And I know the Republican senators were trying to get a second round of PPP pushed through, in the fact that it would be based on the drop in revenues of 50%. The problem is, the Federal Reserve was never set up to underwrite loans to small business or smaller businesses. They were set up to underwrite large, complex deals, not to generate these small loans. So what they're saying is, if the Federal Reserve is tasked to do that, it's going to take an inordinate amount of manpower and time and effort to underwrite these loans, and they feel that it's a better use of the funding to utilize the PPP program. A lot of this has to do with the service sector and restaurant industry still reeling from the effects of the virus, and the fact that most states, including my own home state, are still at a 50% capacity, which, if you look at the long-term effects of that, the fact that most restaurants given in the country were able to open up outside seating and expand into parking lots and, kind of find ways around it. Well, now with winter coming up, especially in the Northeast, East, all the way to the Midwest, that's not going to be an option. Nobody's going to sit out when it's November, the end of November, and it's 35 degrees. Nobody's going to sit outside of a brew pub and drink. That being said, I think we're on the cusp of even more economic downturn, or should say economic problems, if these restaurant restrictions stay in place and the governors and the senators and all that stuff are still demanding that people stay home and not go out and not visit these restaurants, because that's a majority of where the small business is in the service sector. So that being said, I feel like they're going to have to use more tools to help these small businesses to get through the next probably 6 months until spring. If there is a magic cure or whatever, maybe then things will start to add up or open up and businesses will be able to reopen at full capacities. But if not, I see a lot of injection from the government is going to have to be made in order to keep these businesses open. So that being said, in a roundabout way, where I see the Main Street loan program and the PPP, I feel like they're going to come up with a hybrid in between, somewhere between there, to be able to use those funds that they still have available on both programs, but funnel it towards the smaller businesses. And I feel like potentially that EIDL portion, or the EIDL program, may be better suited for those funds. So that being said, obviously I'm hopeful for the additional the $10,000 grants to the small businesses. But moreover, I would like to see some of that EIDL be forgiven. A portion of it, if you used it for operating expenses during this time, either get it forgiven or something. That's my 2 cents on what they basically came out on the last couple days with the Main Street program and the PPP. If you enjoyed this, thumbs up, share it with somebody so we can try and help more people. Until next time, have a great day.